What? I have no idea what's gotten into the minds of Jeremy Crawford and Mike Mearls or whoever the hell designed this month's Unearthed Arcana, but do you want to talk about the two most broken subclasses in all of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons? Because that's what we're going to do right here, so stay tuned. Is game balance just not a thing anymore? So here we are, Barbarian and Monk. We have the Wild Soul Barbarian and the Astral Monk. These things just say fuck it to everything else out there. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, you are a Feywild-based barbarian. A cool concept. I like it. And it's going to have magic. Okay, a little weird magic in the barbarian. But it's not magic in spellcasting like a lot of people do in homebrew some classes. So I was okay with that, and I'm on board. Because then you don't have to deal with the fact that you can't rage and cast magic. So you can cast the Detect Magic spell at will without using spell slots or components. So you have a free Detect Magic. Not a ritual Detect Magic, just at will. Fine. Constitution is your spellcasting modifier. You faintly glow a color corresponding to the school of magic you detect. You choose what the colors are, and you can use this feature a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier. You get them all back on a long rest. That's fine. That's a maximum, realistically, of, probably going to be somewhere in the 3 to 5 range per long rest, freebie casts of Detect Magic, and it lasts for a while, so you have, the time frame to use it. So I'm okay. That's great, right? Wild Surge, the favorite part of everyone's favorite or not favorite part about the Wild Magic Sorcerer is the Wild Magic Surge. When you enter a rage, roll on the Wild Surge table to determine the effect. If it requires a saving throw, it's 8 plus proficiency plus your con bonus. We have 8 here. Let's see what they are. 1. Necrotic energy bursts from you. Each creature within 30 feet of you takes a d10 necrotic damage, and you gain temporary hit points equal to the sum of necrotic damage dealt to the creatures. So, 1, this hurts your allies, but 2, this could be stupid amount of temporary hit points. So you roll a d10, so maximum 10, minimum 1, and you gain temporary hit points equal to the sum of the necrotic damage dealt to the creatures. So if there are 10 creatures within 30 feet of you, and you roll a 10, you just got 100 temporary hit points from a rage at level 3. And there's no cap on that. There's just... there you go. Also, at level 3, as a barbarian, you could do this. This is a bonus action, mind you, because it's when you enter a rage. You could do this, and like at level 3, kobolds and goblins are still a threat. You could annihilate a group of them and then just supercharge yourself with temp hit points, and you're good to go. You teleport up to 20 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Until your rage ends, you can activate this ability again as a bonus action. So this one I'm okay with. It's still a little broken, depending on how you look at it, right? So as a bonus action for the extent of your rage. Now, remind you, it says until your rage ends. This also still factors in when you're much higher levels and your rage lasts even if you don't attack, so you still get it. So you basically get a Misty Step that's a little 10 feet shorter than a regular Misty Step, but you can activate it and then do it continually for a minute. You conjure 1d4 intangible spirits that look like flumps in unoccupied spaces within 30 feet of you. Each spirit flies 30 feet in a random direction. At the end of your turn, all spirits explode, and each creature within 5 feet or more of one of them must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 2d8 force damage. I like the idea of it. I love flumps, so that's cool too. But you don't take any damage if you fail. Or, I'm sorry, if you succeed. It's only 2d8 force damage if you fail the saving throw. So if you succeed, no damage. I'm okay with that one too. And they're spirits, so they should be able to move through things. Arcane energy surrounds you until the end of your next turn. You get a +2 AC. Whenever a creature within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack, that creature takes force damage equal to your con mod. Make the barbarian even more dangerous. I like it. That one, again, those two I'm okay with. Not really broken. The first one is crazy, but Plant life temporarily grows around you until your rage ends. Ground within 10 feet of you is difficult terrain. That's solid. That's a good one. Arcane energy taps into the minds of those around you. Each creature within 30 feet of you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or you see a glimpse of the creature's thoughts, learning how it plans to attack you. As a result, the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls until the start of your next turn. So this technically works on your allies too, but there's no downside if your allies aren't planning to attack you. 7, shadows weave around a weapon of choice you are holding. Until your rage ends, your weapon deals psychic damage instead of bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing. It gains the light and thrown properties and has a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. If you drop the weapon or throw it, it dissipates and reappears in your hand at the end of your turn. You get your Aegis Fang if you're a Wolfgar or a Salvatore fan. So your great sword, your maul, whatever, your big two-handed weapon, potentially. You don't necessarily have to have one as a barbarian, but if you do, you may build your class this way because you might get this where it becomes a throwing weapon. Oops. And then at 8, a beam of brilliant light lances from your chest in a 5-foot wide, 60-foot radius long line. Each creature in that line must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or take 2d8 radiant damage and be blinded until the end of your next turn. So you get an arc, reactor, a repulsor blast, unibeam, I guess is the one I was looking for. Again, another one you do not take any damage if you succeed. Now comes one of the most broken things in all of Dungeons and Dragons. Are you ready for this? At 6th level, you can channel the magic surging from you into other creatures. As an action, touch a creature and roll a d4. That creature recovers an expended spell slot of a level equal to the number rolled. If the creature you touch can't recover a spell slot of that level, the creature instead gains temporary hit points equal to 5 times the number rolled. You take force damage equal to 5 times the number rolled. When you reach 14th level in this class, the die goes to a d6. So let's think about that. You take force damage equal to the number rolled, 5 times the number rolled. So that's something, but there is no limit to the amount of times you can do this. There is no limit to the amount that you can pump into a character. You can continue to just beef up your friends with temporary hit points. You can continue to give them back all their spell slots. As long as you have the HP to take the damage, you can go down. And this also synergizes with Barbarian things, right? Later on, when you can go to 0 hit points, you can go to 1 instead. You can go with that. Nothing says this damage can't be reduced. You could go and get yourself a very common, normally useless magic item in the Brooch of Shielding, where you take half damage from force. So it does not say anywhere in there the amount this damage cannot be reduced in any way. So you could take 5 times the amount of damage you would normally get, cut that in half with the Brooch of Shielding or a Ring of Force Resistance. So you take half the damage that you should be able to take, and you could potentially be charging your party up with 6th level spell slots. And you might just be like, oh, I rolled a 6. I took some damage. You can just dump a heal in me and bump me back up, and I'm actually above where I started. What is wrong with Wizards right now? This is insane. There are so many ways to get around this that you can avoid the damage or lower it or mitigate it in some other way. Especially, I'm thinking of something else. But you should not be able to just freebie give people spell slots back. Yes, again, I know damage, but the fact that you can heal it, the fact that there's ways to get around it, I mean, this could be tied to a warding bond spell, where you do this and the damage gets transferred to somebody else. So the cleric casts warding bond on you, so any damage you take is split between the two of you. There's a ton of ways to just knock this damage all the way down to almost nothing, and still be able to just charge people back up with spell slots, or a ridiculous amount of temporary hit points. Stupid. 10th level, Arcane Rebuke. When a creature forces you to make a saving throw while you're raging, you can use your reaction to deal 3d6 force damage. This is great. I really like Arcane Rebuke. Barbarians don't have a ton of usage for a reaction other than like opportunity attacks on the regular, and chances are someone's gonna be trying to hit you with some kind of mind control or high damage spell to take you down. And the thing is, what it says is when the creature forces you to make the saving throw. It doesn't say when you fail, it doesn't say when you succeed. So theoretically, if a creature forces you to make a saving throw on a concentration-based check, you can then deal 3d6 force damage to them, potentially making them drop the concentration. Or if at the end of your turn you make a saving throw to try to break out of it, you make a saving throw, deal 3d6 force damage, possibly make them drop the concentration, and then you move on. And then at 14th, Chaotic Fury, as a bonus, as a bonus action, you can re-roll on the Wild Surge table, replacing the current effect with a new one. That's not too bad. That kind of fits into the wild magic thing for the sorcerers have, where they get to roll twice and take the number. And that's crazy too, because as a bonus action, every turn you could swap one of these. So, you know, if one of these doesn't work out to your benefit, or you think you can gamble on a better one, you have opportunities to switch that. So there you go. So that's the broken-ass Barbarian. Now let's talk about how stupid this monk is, the Astral Monk. Internal struggle with their key. They see the mystical energy as a representation of their true form, an astral self. The astral self is a translucent embodiment of the monk's psyche and soul. As a result, the form of the astral self reflects the mind of the monk who manifests it. Your astral self could be a humanoid knight with a helmeted face and large muscular arms, or it could be a golden metallic form with arms like a modron. When choosing the path, consider quirks that, you know, get yourself some roleplay stuff around that. Arms of the astral self. You get this at 2nd level. Spend 2 key points as a bonus action to summon the arms of the astral self for 10 minutes. So for 2 key points, you get this effect. This is very important. This effect for 10 minutes, and it is non-concentration. You get the following benefits. You can use your wisdom modifier in place of your strength modifier when making strength checks and strength saving throws. Eventually, as a monk, you're going to have proficiency in all saving throws anyway. So this basically mitigates the only reason you would ever need to have strength as a monk. So strength is 100% a dump stat for you, because if you have key points enough to get them, remember you get key points back on a short rest, and this lasts for 10 minutes. The fact that it lasts 10 minutes means that this is also a viable tactic to use outside of combat, and to just use it in a roleplay scenario for making checks and things like that. The arms are monk weapons that have a reach of 10 foot. So you are now a 10-foot reach monk with monk weapons boosted by your monk unarmed strike die that deal radiant or necrotic damage. The 2 hardest to resist elements are definitely radiant, the hardest to resist element in all of the elemental spectrum here. Maybe other than force. When you attack with the arms, you can use your wisdom modifier instead of your dex or strength. So if now you could be a solely wisdom-based monk and ignore strength and checks and strength saving throws, and then also use this for your attacks. So clearly make wisdom your number 1 stat. And then, here we go. Immediately after you use the attack action on your turn with your astral arms, you can make 1 attack with your astral arms as a bonus action. Okay, that's fine. That's the same thing as a monk's martial art ability, where you can make an unarmed strike as a bonus action. Hey, Buff, could you calm down for a sec? Thank you. Sorry, dog's scratching, bells jingling in the background. The number of attacks increases when you reach certain levels, increasing to 2 attacks at 11 and 3 attacks at 17. Mind you, right now, a monk can do 2 attacks with extra attack and 1 attack, or at level 3, a monk can do 1 attack as an action and 1 attack as a bonus action. You can use, or 3 attacks if you're using Flurry of Blows. When you get higher, you can use 2 attacks as your main attack. Extra attack gives you 2 attacks, and then 1 attack as an unarmed strike, dealing unarmed strike damage as a bonus action, or use Flurry of Blows to do a total of 4 attacks. Those attacks still do bludgeoning damage or whatever. These can do radiant or necrotic. And now, whereas to do Flurry of Blows, you need to spend 1 key point each time you want to do it. So, if you're in a combat that lasts 10 rounds, and you wanted to do Flurry of Blows every round, you'd need to use 10 key points. This, you use 2, and it lasts for 10 minutes. And on top of that, you get to do more attacks than you would ever normally be able to do when you're doing Flurry of Blows. So let's say you're a 17th level monk, for example. You use 2 key points, and every turn for 10 minutes, you get to make 5 attacks. That's more than a fighter on average. The only thing that outclasses that is a fighter using Action Surge at level 11 or higher, and they can only do that 1 time per short rest. You can do this for the equivalency of 10 minutes. Okay? That's insane. So again, they have a 10-foot reach. So you could, 10-foot reach, necrotic or radiant damage, uses wisdom as the attack stat, and, let's see, anything else? Yeah, and you could do more than your normal amount of attacks. So once you hit level 11, there is no reason to use Flurry of Blows anymore, because this uses 2, so 1 more than your normal Flurry of Blows, but you get the equivalency of Flurry of Blows every turn for 10 minutes. So that negates the need for Flurry of Blows entirely. Okay. That's just level 3. Level 6. On your turn, you can spend 1 key point as a bonus action. And I should say that original one was a bonus action. Yeah, 1 key point as a bonus action, or as part of summoning your astral arms. So you can use the same bonus action and spend 3 key points and get all of the subsequent benefits. To summon this visage for 10 minutes. This visage covers your face like a helmet or mask. You determine its appearance based on your qualities of your character. While this visage is summoned, you have advantage on insight and charisma checks, and you can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, out to 120 feet. That's not bad. Let's see. You can summon the visage of your astral self. On your turn, you spend 1 key point as a bonus action or as part of summoning your astral arms to summon this visage. So if I'm reading that correctly, 3 key points, you can do both of these. You can have all your stupid amounts of attacks and then have advantage on insight, intimidation, and see in magic and non-magic darkness out to 120 feet. That one, level 6, that's like a flavory one. That one I'm okay with. Level 11. You tap into the greater power of your astral self. Not that you needed more power, but guess what? You've got it. While you have your astral arms and visage summoned, so for 3 key points, you gain the following benefits. When you take acid, cold, fire, lightning, or force damage, you can use your reaction to deflect it. When you do so, the damage you take is reduced by 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier plus your monk level. So normally you had deflect missiles. When you spend 3 key points, you can now deflect elemental-based energy in basically the same manner. You can't throw it back, but you can deflect it. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a target with your astral arms, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your martial arts die. So if you think about that, at level 11, your martial arts die is a d8. So you could, at this point at level 11, do 4 attacks, 2 with your regular attack using your arms, dealing necrotic damage or radiant damage, 2 more as a bonus action, and again, all of this is assuming these are up, and then one of those could deal 1 extra damage die, effectively meaning just the die, not the modifier, but more or less an extra, almost like an extra attack if you think about it. So at level 17, when your attacks are doing a d10 each, you can deal in 1 turn a total, with not including crits, in 1 turn, 6d10 plus your 6d10 plus your wisdom or dexterity modifier 5 times. So assume it's 20, right? We're at 25 points plus 6d10 damage in a turn, every turn for 10 minutes. I will remind you that a round of combat, 1 minute in combat is 10 turns. So this is 100 rounds of combat. You can do this consecutively for 3 key points. And when you speak through your visage, you can direct your words to a creature of your choice you can see within 30 feet of you, making it so that creature only that creature can hear you. Alternatively, you can amplify your voice so that all creatures within 600 feet can hear you. So that's okay. That's just a more flavor thing. Fine. But again, 100 rounds of combat for 3 key points, and that it just stacks. That's just there forever. These are things we're getting at level 3 and 11, and they only get more powerful. So again, we spent 3 key points, something we could have done at 6th level, that gives us all these benefits the entire time for 100 rounds of combat. Okay, starting at 17th level, your connection to your astral self is complete. It wasn't crazy enough before. Once, or on your turn, you can spend 10 key points as a bonus action to summon your arms, the visage, and the body of your astral self for 10 minutes. So previously we were doing all the stuff we wanted to do, being crazy, for 3 key points. Now at 17, when we have 17 key points, we can spend 10 to get to summon both of those and this new ability here. This spectral body covers your physical form like a suit of armor, connecting with your arms and visage. You determine its appearance based on the qualities of your character. While this is summoned, you gain the following: a +2 to AC while you aren't incapacitated. Whenever, you ready for this? Whenever you use the extra attack feature to attack twice, you can instead attack 3 times. So we just hit 17th level for 10 key points. Oh, hang on. And when a creature within 10 feet of you is reduced to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to regain key points equal to your wisdom modifier. What? For 10 key points at level 17, you can make 6 attacks, each dealing a d10. One of those can do an extra d10 of damage. So remember what we were talking about before? At level 17, for 10 key points, you can deal now 6d10 plus 30, if your wisdom modifier or dexterity modifier is a 5, 6d10 plus 30 plus an additional d10 as either force or necrotic damage with a range of 10 feet. Your AC is boosted by 2 on top of all of that. You could deflect any elemental-based attacks coming at you if you have a reaction, but don't worry, that's a big investment to spend 10 key points for that. But don't worry, if someone dies within 10 feet of you, the range of your astral arms, you can use your reaction instead of maybe deflecting elemental damage to gain a possible 5 key points back, and you can do this every turn for 100 consecutive turns. So within 2 turns of you defeating people down to 0 hit points, you regained your entire key point investment back, assuming you have a 20 wisdom by the time you reach level 17. Does this, I can't be the only crazy person out there who's realized that this is the stupidest shit that I've ever read. How is this balanced? You can't go back and fix what's wrong with Ranger, but you can make this something to playtest? What? 7d10 damage, 6 attacks consecutively every turn for 100 rounds of combat. At this point, we are on par with a fighter for the number of attacks they can make in a turn. They will only have us by 2, with an action surge, I should say. They could do that at level 17 twice, I think. At maybe 17 or 18. 2 action surge, back to back, to do a total of 6 attacks in a round. They will get to 8 attacks when they reach 20, But we can do that every turn for an investment of 10 key points at 17 for 100 rounds of combat. Why would you never not play this class? I don't care what you feel about the Astral Self. If you're in it for the damage and the numbers, this is the best one by far. It eliminates all, like, any minor things that, like, you'd be like, oh, a monk doesn't have this. Well, a monk does a lot of attacks. How about we just give them a butt ton more for free, outclass their own existing features in things like, you know, Flurry of Blows becomes irrelevant at level 11. And you can still do, up until this last point, you could be doing those first 2 attacks with your unarmed strikes, dealing stunning strike damage to get the potential of stunning someone, to get advantage, to get more damage, and hope for crits and things. It's crazy. It is absolutely insane. And I haven't even put in the forethought to think about what we could do if we multi-class this. Because at level 3, we can do this thing where when we activate our arms as a bonus action, we can have our wisdom modifier instead of strength for strength checks and strength saving throws. We can make these astral attacks with our wisdom modifier, and we can make an extra attack. So there's probably a really interesting way to make an Astral Monk Moon Druid who can transform, who can activate all of this, transform into a bear or something, and be a bear with astral arms to do extra attacks, and then have them do extra damage, and use the druid's wisdom modifier for the strength checks. I have no words. Please, please, please let me know what you think in the comments below. These are so stupid. Like, you could play with probably a campaign with just this barbarian and just this monk, and those 2 players could probably just sail on through. Probably throw in a spellcaster in there so the barbarian can stupidly overcharge them with extra spell slots. But please, I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that I'm totally out of left field on this and it's completely balanced and I'm just a crazy person? Or do you share my sympathies and my thoughts that this is crazy? And how are we allowing things like this to exist in this world when there are fundamental classes, in my mind, Ranger and Sorcerer, that need serious overhauls to just be in line with the other cool classes you've already made, and you're making subclasses like this that just outclass everything by and far. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.